3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to Figure It Out Garage. We're gonna work on this Datsun today. I figured the first thing we should do is make a list. Last episode, we got it running. I mean, it was moving and it's under its own power. I drove it an eighth of a mile. It died twice. It's not, it's running and driving, but so we're past will it run, and we're kind of on will it drive, and now we're on let's make it into an actual driver. I found a better marker, so here we go. Weber swap, vacuum advance. Then we're gonna go kind of back through the brakes. I'm gonna jack it up front end and rear end, see if the brakes actually work as well as I think they do. We definitely need a new upper radiator hose, but I'll replace the lower radiator hose as well. Hopefully I can find something that works. We got to do headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, differential fluid, transmission fluid, which I'm calling it transmission fluid, but it's really gear oil, but it's got the manual transmission in it, but probably just kind of check fluid levels, maybe add some loyal Lucas oil. There's a really good manual transmission additive that my dad recommended that he put in a bunch of old rigs, and stuff works really good. We got to get something for the shifter. We need a new steering wheel. We can't use a go-kart steering wheel. Fuel tank, I'm going to pull the fuel tank and I'm going to try to clean it. We need to pull the bed off. We need to do body work, like body panels. I don't think we need to do a whole lot, but there is going to be some. I need to do the floor pans. I need to rip out the carpet, make sure the floor pans don't need patched. I'm sure they do here and there, but they seem pretty solid. And then interior, just kind of budget friendly, do it yourself interior. I think me and my wife are going to try to reupholster the seat. And then we're going to paint this thing. And then once I don't have a title for it, but I'm going to go tomorrow morning to the BMV and start getting that ball rolling. And then once I can legally drive it, there's a glass place in town that does glass for hot rods. So hopefully I can get glass put in it. And I'm not going to worry about putting windows in it. I mean, at least for the foreseeable future. It's going to be probably kind of pricey to get a new windshield and a new rear window, so we're not going to prioritize door windows possibly ever, because this is definitely going to be a fair weather driver. I mean, fall, spring, summertime driver. So I don't care about the windows for the foreseeable future. So let's go ahead and get on this Weber swap. I'm going to go ahead and pull the carburetor, and I got the adapter kit and everything. Probably take a little bit of figuring to do the linkage, and then we'll work on the vacuum advance, and then we're going to check out brakes, and then we're going to do lights today. So let's get cooking. Kind of sort of put it back together-ish, just to have it put together. And then I gotta scrape off my ghetto gasket, and then we'll put that Weber on. I think we're probably gonna have to mess around with the the linkage for sure, and then also it's got an electric choke on it, and I'm positive that electric choke is not gonna fit. Yes. Okay. Getting this old gasket off. Well, old, I mean 2-week-old gasket that I ruined to make a new gasket. Perfect. All right. Just gonna throw this on the floor and make a mess. I might as well just pull these studs off. This will be a lot easier to do if I just go ahead and pull these studs off. So I'm gonna do the double nut shuffle. All right. We got the studs off. spray it down with some brake clean, scrape it, and then I'm gonna hit it with some Scotch-Brite and some sandpaper. Wire wheel. You need a battery. Hit it with some sandpaper. Brake clean again. And some Scotch-Brite. This one I think is going to be a little different than normal, because I think it'll make sense in a second. Usually the intakes are just like a different size. This one, the distance between these two holes is the same on a Weber as it is on the intake, but it's long. The Webers are longer. So I'll kind of show you a rough fitment here. I ripped these a lot, but yeah, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna use the short studs, something, I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out though. Let me kind of do a little rough test fit here real quick. This only goes one way. Webers always call for gasket sealer. I'm sure some people say gasket sealer bad. Some people say gasket sealer good. I'm gonna clean my hands off with some brake clean. And then we will install the studs. And then we will install the carburetor. And then hopefully the linkage and everything will be straightforward. And this isn't gonna take me 4 hours. So now I'm just gonna get these two black screws. I can't remember what size these are. Can't remember if they're standard or metric, but I'll grab some Allen keys. I'm just gonna get these kind of locked in-ish. All right, so I always forget, the good old Webers suggest the thread locker. I also feel like these threads in this intake are a little gummed up, because this one doesn't really want to do the thing. All right, I can't really figure out what the heck's going on. I'm gonna try to chase all these threads with these old studs, because even the studs that I just pulled out feel like they don't really want to go. So I think what's going on is these threads are just kind of gummed up. So I'm gonna be chasing threads. So I'll bring you back in when I figure out if all this hardware is wrong, or if, you know, this is just a normal thing that when you're working on 60-year-old cars, you just have a great time. Yeah, even these threads that literally just came out feel terrible. All right, I'm gonna make a tap out of one of these studs. I'm just gonna put a little slit here. I've seen some other people do this. It doesn't work as good as an actual tap, but it works better than nothing. I think those threads are just gummed up. Yeah, I don't know how well you can see that, but I just put a little slit in this, and that should help clear out any gobbledygook from that intake. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but there was a bunch of gobbledygook in there. All right, my ghetto tap worked. I pulled you probably can't, but I pulled a ton of junk out of these threads. They're so much cleaner now. So I test fit, I don't know where any of my crap is. I test fit these and they actually screwed in fine. So I'm glad I remembered that trick. My dad was a machinist, and I'd seen him do this before on an old, we used to have a Bronco, and he did it on something. I wasn't really paying attention, and then I also saw Jacob from Puddin's Fab Shop do it, and one of his videos reminded me that it was a thing. But yeah, if you ever are just trying to clean out some threads and you have a sacrificial bolt or screw or whatever, put a little slice and dice on that, and it'll do the job for you. So I'm gonna get all this laced up now.
1 minute 37 seconds later.
All right, I didn't have a 1/4-inch wiggler, but I was able to get enough extensions on this 1/4-inch drive to get enough slack to get those nuts on these studs on the inside. It took like 30 minutes to figure all of that out. We got a Weber carburetor on here now though, so stoked on that. So now we just got to figure out the linkage, which I don't think will be that hard, but it probably will. I was able to use this bracket off the old carburetor, and then I was able to use this part of the linkage. So I'll just have to run a spring. I also need to figure out where this spring went. I think it just went, oh, it went right here. I'll have to do that with 2 hands. But this has already got a thing for a return spring. Can probably also hook it to this piece right here. So let me sort this out, and then we'll test it with the pedal, make sure everything works right, and then try to run this thing for a few minutes just to make sure it works, kind of. I also need to hook up the vacuum advance. I don't know how in the hell I'm going to do that. I think I am going to have to pull the valve cover. All right, I got the linkage dialed in. So I had this random piece from another Weber. Obviously, I have to figure out something for an air cleaner. So this is not permanent. Yeah, I don't know. I could, I should be able to, if I get a Weber air cleaner, I should be able to mount this stuff on top. Mount the air cleaner on top, and it should still form a seal of some sort. The only other thing I'm going to have to figure out is the clutch, or the choke. But I don't care about the choke right now. So, but it works good. It works actually better. Well, now I'm breaking it, of course. It works fine from the pedal, is what I'm trying to say. Now, of course, I messed it up, so that's awesome. So let me fix it, and then I will show you that it works really good from the pedal, but not from out here. So that's okay. Here I go. All right. So here's the pedal. See, everything works great. Return's good. It seems like to the floor is exactly when it all kind of does the thing. Got a negative battery cable. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on 3 psi. Let the fuel pump run for a second. Let's try it. I'm a big doofus, so I didn't hook up the vacuum advance, so there's a huge vacuum leak, obviously. So I gotta wiggle worm my fingers in here. I don't want to pull the valve cover off yet because I want to try to run it for a minute and make sure everything is working correctly, but I also don't think I can get this vacuum plug onto the vacuum advance unless I take it off. So I'm at a crossroads like Robert Johnson. I think we're getting some kind of crazy vacuum leak or something. The only other thing that I'm kind of worried about is maybe this carburetor is giving it too much gas. I've heard that's a thing with these old little tiny 4-cylinders. I'm going to do some research. I don't know what to do. I don't really want to go back to that old carburetor because, you know, there's not parts for it and it leaks, and I might be able to make it work, but I'm not going to be able to make this thing into a driver with that old carburetor. So we'll be back on it maybe tomorrow. I'm not really sure. Feeling kind of bummed. Also, this thing went buck wild for a second, so I don't love that. Yeah, all right, well, I'll see you later someday, I guess. See you later. Bye. All right. New Amazon carburetor. I am going to RTV this. Excuse me. Because this is the only gasket that I have. And I've used it three times now. And the first time I put the carburetor on, I RTV'd it and it worked great. So I'm going to very carefully remove this gasket and put some RTV on it. And then we're going to do RTV on the top too. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this rubber. I assume that this is for the vacuum advance, so we'll have to figure that out, but this actually comes out at an angle that will actually work. All the throttle linkage seems like it should just mount up. I kind of made sure everything worked. Obviously it'll need adjustment. Here's our idle mixture screw, which pretty easy access. And then this is the idle adjustment screw, which isn't the easiest thing to get to, but I don't also know what this does, but it does something. So let's get this carb on here. Right. One thing that sucks about this thing is you basically, well, I already had the valve cover off from getting the Weber adapter on, but you basically have to take the valve cover off to get to these nuts here. So I got some washers on. I got 4 new nuts. Did I grab the right ones? It doesn't look like it. Okay. Anyway, these were 5/16 by 24, I think.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
All right. Okay, man, that was miserable. That took about 27 minutes to get these 4 nuts on. I had to use like a combination of different wrenches with different size heads, and it was terrible. All right, I'm gonna clean this up, hook up the fuel line, see if we can get this thing to run. I'm just gonna lay the valve cover gasket back on for now, and then we'll tighten it down once we see if she runs. Okay, so the float works. I'm gonna try less fuel pressure. Oh, I didn't hook up the throttle. All right, we're squirting fuel. Okay, well, that's better than it was. Let's try take 2. All right, turn the fuel pump off and investigate the situation. Maybe we need more fuel pressure. Maybe, you know. Oh, idle mixture screw? Yeah, probably. Let's do the old take her all the way in, take it out 1.5. All right, that's all the way in. Half, 1, half. All right, the float is working. The accelerator pump seems to be working. I'm not opening both. So when I go full throttle, it doesn't open both bowls, or whatchamacallits, butterflies. Which I'm not that worried about that right now, but I will be. You know what I'm saying? See if this works now. I had to drill a hole for the thing for the accelerator pump, because this is the original like throttle linkage thingy, and this one has a provision to like clip the throttle cable, and the other one had a provision for the ball and throttle cable thingy. So hopefully you can see this. This is the linkage off of the original carburetor. I had to drill a hole here for the accelerator pump poker inner thingy. The accelerator pump popped out at one point. I had to put it back in. That was kind of weird. Another thing that is weird is this thing here, this little weighted thingy. It goes to the butterfly for the other barrel or whatever. I don't understand that. But I'm not a carburetor expert. I got the choke working. The throttle pedal should work. Let's see if it does. Yes, it does. Okay. So let's see if this thing starts. With the idle mixture, I had to take it out a little bit, and then I messed with the idle, whatever, idle curb screw, whatever they call it, and sounds decent, and it's idling. It's been idling for probably about 10 minutes now, so I think mission accomplished on carburetor things. Yeah. So I think we're gonna try to take it for another test drive, because why the hell not? All right. Let's see what happens. Go to the end of the street and turn around. The brakes suck, but they work. So there is absolutely no fluid in the master cylinder, which leads me to believe we either busted a hose. I honestly also just don't even remember what we did, if we even did anything with the master cylinder. So if we were getting brakes, I don't actually understand how. Yeah, I don't remember. So I think we're gonna look for leaks, assuming one of the hoses or one of the hard lines exploded, because I gave it a real strong push and then I felt a big pop. So let me get a flashlight, do a little bit of investigation in this situation. here's a crazy one. The turn signals work, both sides work. I don't think that the lights work, but I would imagine if the turn signals work, I mean, the turn signals in the front obviously don't work because they don't exist. And I don't know where the wiring harness is for those. I assume, yeah, okay. Looks like the wiring harness does exist. I assume it is this, but that could also be the headlights. I don't want to do brakes right now. I want something to feel good. So I think I'm going to investigate these lights a little bit. All right, so both of these bezels just have a flathead screw at the bottom. All right, finally got that bolt off. So let's see if we're getting, yeah, this is one of those that you can't just replace the bulb. This is from 2001. So my 20-plus-ish year theory is probably true. Let's see if we're getting electricity. All right, so this side doesn't work, but let's try this side. And there's a wire. There's a brown. All right, so this is the same harness that goes to the headlights, and then there's this random brown wire that comes off of this harness. I wonder if they couldn't get the switch to work or something. Let's try to find this brown wire. It looks like I'm just going to be pretty much rewiring this whole truck. Well, the taillights work. Or the turn signals. Oh my God, yeah. So I think I'm going to be, and then there's this whole harness here. All right. Oh, I got to turn on the key. Not turn the truck on, but key switch power. So I think I'm just gonna have to rewire this whole truck. So I've got my battery, I got my tester on the battery negative. So I'm getting 12 volts to the coil. I don't know if maybe this wire is ignition. So, okay, these two, I guess, top ones get 12 volt positive. Yeah, the bottom ones get 12 volt off the battery, and then the top two get 12 volts off the ignition. Or maybe it's the other way around. I'm not getting anything out of these. I wonder if I get anything out of them if I start the truck. Let's start the truck. All right, I get something straight up off these fuses, but I don't get anything down here. So yeah, that should have 12 volts because it's going to the coil. And then that should have something. So it's weird that the turn signals work, because I would assume that they would be off of one of these posts on the fuse box. So I'm pretty much just gonna have to rewire this whole truck. All right, well, I got it running and driving. So now it's taillights, headlights, brakes. So here's my friggin', so this whole episode, we got one thing done. Great. So, yeah. So, next episode's gonna be brakes, lights, and then whatever else we can get done. I need to order something to fit on the shifter. I need to order a steering wheel. There's a lot of work to be done. But we're going to get there. We're going to figure it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.